Is every week this good? It is every week. We got to hear Joan talking about playing Twister with God. That was worth paying money for. And I've been wondering what you and what Reverend Bev would be interpreting playing Twister with God. I can't wait to hear it because we're about to find out. Reverend Bev, please.
Oh, yes. We're playing Twister with God. And one more time, they've taken me off my leash. I really am not sure if it's a good idea yet. Anybody? Any feedback? Oh, Joan, that was so brilliant. You know, I was looking at my talk, which I actually lost. So this morning I woke up and my computer was like, I'm resetting to the original Windows, and you have no documents. Talk about a moment of OMG. And I figure the talk is Twister with God. How wrong can I go? Anyway, part of it was like, at one point I'm thinking, how deep do I want to go into the description of Twister? We all know what Twister is. Thank you, Joan, for taking us there, for showing us, and exactly how it works with people. And we're going to get to that for sure. So, yes. I want to just stop for a minute and welcome everybody that might be here for the first time. If you're here for the first time, just throw your hand in the air. Woohoo! And anybody that's online out there, throw your hand in the air. Woohoo! Excellent. You know, we just love seeing new faces here, and we want to know that you want you to know how much we open our hearts and minds and arms to everybody. And if the message today, if this group of crazy people resonate with you, we only have 2 words to say. Welcome home. Yes. So, yes, the theme of this month is play. Really. I get to play with all of you. Victor Shamus, who did The Art of Creative Inspiration, he said, play is a sacred act. When we are playing, the essence of all creation flows freely through us. We are expressing our true nature and connecting with the very core of our existence. Nothing is more spiritual than that. Yeah. Play. So, how do we do that right now? When we look around our world and we see the news this morning, and we see that even in the season of non-violence, our world is filled with conflict everywhere. Everywhere. How is it that we can look at play and even say it's okay? How do we do that? So first of all, we honor where we're at right now in our world. We open our hearts, we open our minds, we open our prayer, we open ourselves up to hold in that place of peace, knowing that somewhere in all of this chaos, there is a divine design going on. It's hard to go there, folks. It's very, very, very hard to go there. But we teach this. We teach that there is something more. Now, don't not do what you feel you need to do. Social uplift, step forward, do the vigils, do the prayer, do all of this stuff. And then know, too, that being a human, being a joyful human being right now is okay too. Okay? So we take a deep breath in, we hold the space for peace, and we can still have joy and laughter in our lives. It's okay to do that. In fact, it's imperative, because it is a place to raise the energy into that positive field so that we're not just all succumbed and underneath some other person's desire to grab our joy and run away with it. So we raise ourselves up, we sing, we laugh, we celebrate who we are. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Even Dr. Holmes says this. He goes, "It should be considered good and right to live and enjoy living, to be well, happy, and to express freedom is to be in accord with divine law and wisdom." Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, this is where we hang our hat. So let's move on with Playing Twister with God. Man, the first time I saw that, the very first picture that came to my mind was this big, old, gray dude with a long beard in the sky with all of his robes wrapped around playing Twister with me. That was a very interesting picture. He kept his staff in his hand. How does that work? Aren't you supposed to put all instruments aside? But that was the very first picture of Twister for me. And I'm thinking, I know what God is. Why did that come to mind? Because it's fun. It's just fun. It's playful. It's humorous. Somebody might say it's a little, but it really is just fun because all of it is good. All of it is good. It's all joy, whatever way we look at it. So I want to share a funny story with you. It's not quite about Twister, but you know, all the games that we learn as children are part of life, are part of how we learn life. So it's a cute story about a puzzle. The silver-haired lady calls her neighbor. Now, there's many of us that are silver-haired, so we're going to go for a much more silver-haired lady, just so that we're not in this group. A silver-haired lady calls her neighbor and says, "Please come over and help me. I have a killer jigsaw puzzle, and I can't figure out how to get it started." Her neighbor asks, "Well, what is it supposed to be when it's finished?" The little lady says, "According to the picture on the box, it's a rooster." The neighbor decides to go over and check this one out and maybe help with the puzzle. She lets him in and shows him where she has the puzzle spread out all over the table. He studied the pieces for a moment and then looks at the box, and he turns to her and says, "First of all, no matter what we do, we're not going to be able to assemble these pieces into anything resembling a rooster." Very gently, he takes her hand and says, "Let's just relax, have a cup of tea." And then he added, "And let's put all the cornflakes back in the box." Oh, I can see myself doing that one day. So, you know, part of playing Twister with God is how God just interacts with us. And one of the things that is very up for me most every Sunday, especially the Sundays that I'm talking, is when I sit down to create a talk, I want it to be intellectual. I want it to be inspiring. I want it to be deep and full with all of this wonderful information that I've gained from everywhere. And then God decides to play pinball with me. I am not kidding. I always do a little meditation, maybe a prayer, and I come out, I got my computer ready to go. Bing! Bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. Suddenly, somebody has an arcade inside of my body and my mind and my emotions. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? God wants to make itself known. Spirit wants to speak through us because that's who we are. We're expressions of the divine. So I'm not kidding you. Now, it would be great if it was just while I was creating the talk. But if you watch me closely, you will see at any given moment, Spirit comes back in and decides it's my time to take over. So if you see me go, you know Spirit has entered me, and it's now the voice of Spirit speaking. It might not happen that crazily, but it is absolutely the truth. I have to just surrender to allow the divine to work its way through me, whatever it wants to do. And so we are literally here for the joy of God. So this is what we do. We have some joy. So how can we look at playing Twister with God as a spiritual practice? Seems a little offbeat, doesn't it? Because we're used to our spiritual practice being not running around on a plastic mat with dots on it. So what we do is when we play Twister, we intertwine and find ourselves up close and personal with God in many, many unexpected ways. I mean, who hasn't had that opportunity to just fall apart with giggles when you find yourself in somebody's armpit? You know, trying to get that foot onto green and being all twisted up, being held up and everything. Well, playing Twister with God is pretty much the same thing. You know, in that picture I had, I was under a robe. I don't know which robe it was, but I was under a robe trying to look for yellow with my right hand. So no matter what we think will happen, we continually intertwining in unexpected ways with Infinite Spirit. Every morning, every time we interact with somebody, life changes, surprises, failures and successes, they all happen. As intuition feeds us the next step, which is the yellow with the left hand, the entire universe is conspiring for our greatest good. So even though these twists and turns might be leading us down a path that looks a little odd, there's always, remember, there's a pony in the poop. So there's always a divine design going on. Cultivating a life of joy involves making place to play. Play the things that truly light you up. This is where you're interacting with the divine. This is where God wants to meet us the most. We are here for the joy of God. Let's be the joy, and let's have joy in spirit and in God. Why not? Why not? Because here's the thing. If we're willing to do this with ourselves and our own spiritual practice, it truly does help us when we interact with our family and our friends, when life throws us the curves. If we think about Thanksgiving dinner as Twister, yeah. Yes, just take a moment. Take that in. All right, Thanksgiving Twister. Can you see the table with all the dots on it? And each time somebody says something, it's a curveball, it's landing somewhere, and we're moving it around. How do we respond? How do we decide to get our face out from underneath that armpit and maybe move around? And in one way, it becomes a supportive game. We're all intertwined. We're all doing this Twister action through everything, every relationship. It doesn't even matter if it's within this community. It can be with anybody out in the world. Driving. You know, I had somebody speak with me the other day, and they were driving down a one-way street in Hilo, and there was a car, a Jeep, come in the opposite direction, the wrong way. How do we play Twister? What are we going to do? Are we going to stay on red and go, oh, and just unload on this person who happened to be a tourist, had no idea where they were, poor things, they were so stressed out? Or are we going to move around and find another button and turn over and go, it's all good, you might want to turn your car around now, you know? So how do we want to choose our life? How do we want to play Twister with each other? And don't forget that when we're playing Twister with each other, we're playing Twister with God, because we are all expressions of the divine, right? You've heard me say this 100 times. When I look at you, I see God looking back at me. When you speak your words, it's the word of God speaking to me, because you are an expression of God. Remember, God doesn't have lips. God doesn't have this voice, although sometimes we think we hear it. There's medication for that. But anyway, so this voice through other people is the voice of the divine guiding us to where we are going. So remember, when we are playing Twister with our friends and our family, we are truly playing Twister with God. Yes, we are. But here's another thing. Why do we have to make our spiritual practice so serious? Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with meditation. No. And all of those in my class, meditation every day, journaling, gratitudes. There's nothing wrong with these practices. These practices are absolutely wonderful. But can we do it a little differently? Does it have to be that way? I myself like to do things that bring me joy. I love to dance. Yes, I love to dance. Sonny, Joan, they love to dance. We all love to dance. So dance is a spiritual practice. Did you know that? Yeah. How about cooking? Cooking is a brilliant, you are putting your love into that food. You are creating something. And when you're only using what happens to be in your kitchen sink and your fridge, you are using that creative power to bring something forward that is not only nutritional, but it's filled with love. Do you know that washing dishes can be a mindful act? Maybe not in my house, but it is considered. Any act that can take you still, single-mindedly, focus on one thing, washing the dishes, and when you're done, you might feel pretty good about it. Anybody? Hiking. Can you see the difference between running and hiking? It's now hiking. All of these things are spiritual practices. It's your intention that makes a difference. Are you going to walk because you've got to get those, 10,000 steps in? Or are you going to walk because, my goodness, I get to be out in the open. I get to enjoy this life. I get to be filled up and overflowing with the love of all I see around me. And you know what? We are so blessed. We are so blessed with what we have. You got to be careful of the dogs, though. If you're walking in HPP, know the streets that you can walk down. But besides that, hiking, running, walking, strolling, dancing, singing, cooking, painting, these are all meditations. And if you just want to sit and daydream, that is one too. A very, very good one. Dr. Holmes says this. He goes, God sings all the songs, dances all the dances, paints all the pictures, creates all art, writes every book, and plays every game. Well, of course God does, because we do. It is God in us having fun. We're playing, we're having a good time. We're singing out loud. Wasn't that brilliant when Doc did Spirit is in this place and we're all up? We're active, we're having a good time. We're allowed to do this. I have a little story about melding God together. A Polish composer and pianist, Beverley, was giving a concert. A mother brought her young son to the concert. And as young kids would do, he slipped away while his mother was talking to a friend, got up on stage, and sat at this huge Steinway piano and began playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. The mother was mortified. The audience began listening. Paderewski walked up behind the boy and told him to keep playing. The house lights went down and the spotlight shone on the boy. Paderewski reached around the child, with one arm on one side, and began to fill in the bass notes. And then with the other hand, he played some of the run-ins, the obligatos. The young upstart and the Grand Master playing beautiful music together. Doesn't that sound like God working through us? Can you see that picture? Can you see that picture of that young boy on the stage, this big Steinway, this huge audience, little guy, and the master who just wrapped his arms around him and started filling in all of the stuff that he didn't know yet. And they created something magnificent and new together. There is no place where we begin and God leaves off. We can find God only within ourselves. So why are we talking about this anyway? Why are we talking about play? I think we all know how to play. But why are we bringing our attention back to it? Because it's so easy for us to get caught up in the world, to get caught up in the sorrow and the pain and the suffering of the world, that we forget that our play, our joy, is a way to lift the vibration of the world. We want to lift it up. We want to participate with our prayers, and we want to participate with our joy. We want to play a little bit more. In the global vision for CSL, they say that we envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. So God is joy. We are joy. We are that magnificence. And in our What We Believe statement that Dr. Ernest Holmes wrote many years ago, we believe the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete freedom from all discord of any nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. So the ultimate goal of life is to be complete freedom from all discord of any nature. This is a goal. Most of us are really good at focusing on goals. Why are we not focusing on this goal? Why aren't we focusing on releasing the discord in our life? We can do this. We can absolutely do this. We want to focus on the magnificence of this life. We want to fill it up with all of the love, all of the joy. We want to wrap each other up in our arms and our hearts and go, let's go play together. Let's go do this. Let's have some fun. Let's have some serious fun right here, right now. Yeah. Let's get serious about having fun. Because you know, the other part of that statement, it says, this goal is sure to be attained by all. You know, that means that once we pass or transition off this planet, we will hit that goal. Are we going to wait? Are we seriously going to wait till then to have this fun and the joy? I don't see it. I can see all of you guys here. Every face has got this. I'm ready. Let's go play. You know, I'm like, the minute we open those doors, I can see people tumbling on the grass. Be careful though. No hurting. But yes, why are we going to wait? It's time. Get serious about your playing. So this is the call to action. Let go of the confusion that tells you that spirituality is serious. Look at me. Come on, folks. There's nothing serious about me here. Spirituality is not serious. So we're all going to get in that. Play and laughter and joy are frivolous and unimportant. Seriously? That's not an option. Teilhard de Chardin tells us that joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. When we make the space inside ourselves to really laugh, to live in the present moment, in the expression of joy, we are being our most God self. So this week, I want you to go ahead and explore all the ways of joy, to let the God of joy into your life completely. Seek ways to have some fun. Giggle, be silly, laugh out loud, celebrate the wonderment as a life we can spend playing Twister with God. Doesn't that sound amazing? Are we in? All right. So I'm going to just close this up with a little piece from Hafiz. Oh, Hafiz. He's so lovely. I sometimes forget I was created for joy. My mind is too busy. My heart is too heavy. Too heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance. The sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up and lift others up. O sacred one, untangle my feet from all that ensnares. Free my soul that we might dance, and that our dancing might be contagious. Yes! Woohoo! Let us take this to prayer. So as we breathe into this very moment, we recognize the one power, the one source, the one universal creative mind that I call God. God is all that there is. All that is seen, all that is unseen, omnipotent, omnipresent, ever creating, supplying, supporting, sustaining, maintaining every single expression that it is. It is the joy of life. It is the wisdom, the magnificent beauty, the balance, the compassion, the kindness, and the love. And I know that I am one with this. I know that each one of us is one with this magnificent, as we allow it to work around us and through us and as us, in all that we do, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we feel, in all that we experience, even when we're playing Twister. We are there and part and being of God. And so I know for each one of us that as we walk our path this week, that we can see those red and yellow and green and blue dots and know that it is God having fun with us, that it is our time for joy. It is our time to get together and honor all that God's self inside of us. And I know that it is good. I know that it is good. So I just release this prayer knowing it is done. Knowing that Spirit has said, what? Yes. Yes, my beloveds, yes. You've set intentions for a magnificent life. You've expressed desires for joy and happiness and love and compassion. And it is already done, and done magnificently. So I just release this prayer knowing it is so. And together we claim this by saying, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Trying to assimilate something here. Your computer took a dive last night. You knocked that out this morning. You were all right. That's one of the biggest, most... Dropbox. Oh, it was in there, okay. That was one of the most important messages I think we can hear in this day and age. This is a 501c3. This is a nonprofit called the Center for Spiritual Living in East Hawaii. And we thrive on your financial input, and ours too. We'd like to go right into our, how do you do it? Following this. We are so grateful for your contributions. Not only that, if you could say this along with me, I'm going to go a little lower key than normal. Follow me, please. Divine love. In and through me. It blesses and multiplies. All that I have. All that I give. All that I receive. And all that I am. And what? So it is. So, Doc, your last song tied in with